Okay, so we're going to talk about solving the equation by using the square root method. So the strategy for this type of question, well, first of all, what does the question even look like? You'll notice that when you search through the entire problem, it only has an x squared. It doesn't have any x to the first in it. So when that happens, our goal is to get all x's over to one side, the numbers without x's, or the x squareds, to the other side. That's your first step. So you're going to separate everything. If the x squared has any numbers in front of it, you're going to get rid of it so that the x squared is all by itself. Then you have to take the square root of both sides and simplify the radical. This is a part that a lot of kids forget. Anytime you square root both sides, it causes a plus or minus answer to happen. So be aware of that so you don't miss any points on the test. So in the first problem, looks like I have x squareds on both sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to get them all over to one side first. So I'm going to take 5x squared away. And I just like moving them to the left because I always move stuff to the left. So that gives me negative 6x squared. I have the 3 in the front. I have minus 9 here. So if I got all of my x squareds to the left, I have to take the numbers without the x squareds and get them to the right. So I'm going to take this 3, subtract it over. That gives me negative 12 equals negative 6x squared. Now a lot of kids try to square root at this step, but the x squared still has the 6 in front of it, the negative 6. So you have to divide by negative 6 first. So this crosses out. Now I'm going to bring this up. X squared equals 2. So now that the x squared is all by itself, we can square root both sides. And in doing so, that causes a plus and minus to appear. Square root of 2 doesn't simplify at all. So we end up with x equals plus or minus 2. This problem's highest exponent, the degree, is a second degree quadratic. That means we should have two answers, and we just found both of them. X equals positive radical 2, x equals negative radical 2. Next question. The next question, you want to isolate the x squared. I know it has a fraction on it, but you don't have to worry about that right now, because all you got to do is get the 5 out of there first. If that wasn't a fraction, we would have still done the same thing. So I have 1/2 x squared. So to get a fraction to disappear, all you got to do is times by the bottom. That causes the bottom to cancel, and now we're just left with 1x squared, which you don't have to write the 1. So whatever number is on top, it just ends up in front of the x. When you have a 1, you don't have to write it. So 18 times 2 is 36. So you square root both sides. That gives you x equals plus or minus. Square root of 36 is just 6. This problem should have had two answers. We have x equals positive 6, x equals negative 6. That's how you solve by using square root. So on these problems, you will have to also watch for any negatives underneath the square root. If you have a negative under the square root, you fix it by bringing it out as an I, which represents an imaginary number.